Alright, quick explanation as to what we're doing here for anybody who's new, joining in, or otherwise haven't seen. This is sort of like a budget slash affordable way to start fighting Alatreon with various weapons, including Longsword, which is what we're going to do this run with. I've done a Hunting Horn video, but this one's going to be maybe have more explanation in it. All of the armor and equipment I'm using is obtainable at Master Rank 24. You obviously might need to do some grinding to obtain the materials to make the set. But Garuga, for example, you can access at Master Rank 24 through event quests. Normally, you would unlock it by grinding your forest up to level 3, and then you can fight it in the normal way, but you can also just ignore the forest requirement and do event quests to fight Garuga to obtain these boots. I think I'm going to leave the boots as is. None of the other armor's upgraded, so if these were level 10, if the armors were upgraded to level 10 and this was level 10 as well, it'd probably be similar defense. So I'm not going to worry about the fact that this is level 23, which you wouldn't be able to get. Glider and waterproof mantle can also be upgraded. You might need to do certain conditions to get access to them, but you can eventually upgrade them. This is the build we're using. So the idea is with the Kaiser set, we'll get Master's Touch, so we want to have 100% affinity, so that anytime we hit the Alatreon, we are guaranteed to maintain our sharpness. Quick note here, the reason we are using the Teostra set is because the longsword we've selected has very low purple sharpness. In order to maintain that purple sharpness, we can either use Master's Touch or some other options. The set I've showcased here actually doesn't have enough critical to have 100% affinity if hitting non-tenderized parts. So minor adjustments can be made to the decoration sets to get that 100% affinity. You'll see in the actual run that I do in fact drop down to white sharpness because of that fact. Adjustments can be made as you get acclimated to the fight, and you don't need things such as blight resistance. We're using the Adularia Edge, that's the Frostfang Barioth Longsword, which comes from fighting Tempered Frostfang Barioth. He is a challenging fight, but he is available at Master Rank 24. Don't be afraid to SOS for help to get the clear. It's arguably the best ice weapon, especially for Longsword, but it has only a little bit of purple sharpness, which is why we're using Teostra. You could also replace Teostra set with Protective Polish and Item Prolonger along with the Wetfish Fins. Wetfish Fin Plus, which you can get from the optional quest, A Fish to Whet Your Appetite, for quick sharpening. We want Ice Attack because of the Element Topple. We're making sure we go Health Boost. Alatreon does quite a bit of damage, combos a lot. Very helpful to have the Health Boost. Blight Res in case we get hit. We don't want to get Dragon Blight or Ice Blight on us. Other skills are for damage. Crit Boost, Weakness Exploit, Evade Windows for survivability. Clutch Claw Boost is a must on light weapons. Weakness Exploits, second effect. The additional 20% on wounded parts, that's from Tenderized. So in order to not have to spam Clutch Claw a bunch and lose out on damage opportunities, and to make the fight a lot more comfortable, you should absolutely be using the Shaver Decoration Clutch Claw Boost on light weapons. It'll make the flow of the fight much better. On our mantles, we have some extra ice attack as well as part breaker for horns. If you're comfortable in getting the part breaks on the horns, you don't need those. To be clear, this is not the most optimal pre-Alatreon set. This is not the best set you can make if you want to grind for things like Raging Brachydios, which you can also get at Master Rank 24, but he's a challenging fight, so I opted not to use him. You can use Raging Brachy set, you can use some Brute Tigrex stuff, which is Master Rank 70. You'd also be able to get some augments. The sword I'm using, this Rarity 11 sword, you can augment at Master Rank 70 by having level 6 Forest. You can get the Regen Augment. Regen Augment is very, very powerful, lets you play aggressively. Other things like having the Rocksteady Mantle, which you get from High Rank. High Rank, not Master Rank. High Rank level 50 for the Rocksteady Mantle. Makes a big difference in the fight. I recommend trying to get that as well. But the purpose of this video is to show if you didn't do a ton of grinding, right? I am assuming you're going to do some grinding in order to get the sets, in order to get some decorations. So there is some level of grinding. But if you ignore Guiding Lands and you don't grind your brains out to get good decorations and powerful armor, maybe this set would, something similar to this set might help you. So yeah, here we go. Alatreon, budget Alatreon. I'm going to be buffing up in the camp at first. Because I don't have Rocksteady, I'm not going to grab his head straight away. I'm going to look for a suitable attack to do that. His large pinning attack is one such move. His large pinning attack is something where you can grab his head safely. There's maybe a couple others that I can't think of off the top of my head. Those are good moments to grab his head and spin him. We do want to enrage him because it makes him take 20% more damage. We also want to be able to tenderize him. We're going to be trying to focus on his head and arms the entire fight, like usual. Forgot to comment on the ice-proof handle, or the waterproof handle, but it's just because we have really low elemental defenses. Now that we have Red Gauge, our goal is to Spirit Helmbreaker, then power back up to Red Gauge as often as possible. As a general rule of thumb to perform Helmbreakers, ask yourself, is my weapon drawn? Will he be stationary for 3 to 4 seconds, or can I predict where he's going? And do I have Red Gauge? If the answer is yes to all of these, there will be a Spirit Helmbreaker opportunity somewhere, but be mindful of your HP if you don't have the regen augment. If my sword was drawn, I could have gone for a Helmbreaker there. Can't go for a Helmbreaker here, though. So one of the reasons why we want to use Evade Window is so that we don't have to be as precise on our timings for dodges. I'm a bit slow on this Helmbreaker, so I might get punished here. So if we get hit, just stay calm. Not the worst thing in the world. And I've said this many times when explaining Alatreon, the number one thing is to keep him on your screen at all times. Make sure you can see what he's doing. I'm going to use the Dust of Life to heal. You should be using max potions if you're low HP. Dust of Life if you're sort of pretty high. When he's doing this triple head slam, triple when he's enraged, double when he's not enraged. If he's doing that triple head slam, you can tenderize his rear legs or tail safely. And there's our topple. So now we're safe from Eschaton Judgment. We can survive Eschaton Judgment. And this gives us a really big opening to smack his face. You've now seen me use Spirit Helmbreaker 3 times against this multi-lightning strike attack. I am intentionally standing behind or beside him, around his arms and behind his head, when starting the Spirit Thrust, so that I can angle and strike his head. If you're standing in front of him, directly facing his head, it becomes much more difficult to hit his face, especially if your Spirit Thrust connects with his chest. This is a Clagger. We'll tenderize his arm during this. You can either tenderize the arm or refresh the head. Strictly speaking, refreshing the head is probably better. It's very close to him. You always want to gap close if you can. During this charge up, you can stand right in front of his face, or you can use it to foresight. And there's our head break. So I can equip my waterproof mantle. which will mostly only apply to his flying phase now that I think about it. Because he doesn't use water attacks unless he's in the air. So now that he's not enraged, first thing, when he switches to dragon mode, it's usually 3-ish minutes into the fight. When he switches to dragon mode, that's your cue to consider buffing your Might Seed and Demon Powder. But now that he's not enraged and flying, I can grab his face and flinch shot. Quick note here, Eschaton Judgment, the big Nova, occurs based off of how many ground attacks or combos Alatreon uses, as well as his current HP to some extent. If you are struggling to get the elemental topples, you want to keep him flying as long as possible. This gives you more time to inflict elemental damage, even if it isn't a lot, by hitting his feet, before he explodes you. Every little bit counts if you're struggling to get the topples. He's gonna stand up and roar. You can actually Helmbreaker this, but the easier and more convenient way to deal with that attack is to just Clutch Claw. If you're not on the ground on the Ice Downspout attacks, Ice Fog Breath attacks, if you're not on the ground, you don't take damage. Since we don't have Regen Augment, standing in this fire is not ideal, but we also don't want to give up opportunities for damage. Fire does not do that much damage. Not much damage. So we can still stand in it. We'll have to heal though. Want to make sure we're staying close to him. So during that attack, you can watch his front legs. He'll go up on his hind legs like he's doing a wheelie type of thing. Then, so we can actually use a Jerky here to heal. Jerky restores all of your red HP. When he does the explosion attack, he goes up on his hind legs, and then when his front legs touch the ground, or just after his front legs touch the ground, is when you time it. So we can use the 3-ring as, that 3-ring explosion. You can ISS it, you can Helmbreaker, or you can Foresight it. It's a very good attack for openings. Because Longsword has such an incredibly fast Tenderize and Sheathing animation, I can very quickly go for a Tenderize during that Eschaton windup. Well, you can also cannot run from Eschaton. You can't escape Eschaton. So you might as well not run from Eschaton. You can't escape Eschaton. So you might as well sort of stand underneath him and hit him when he lands. Again, for most of his attacks, we want to more or less run straight at him and leverage our evade window. Missed the rest. More or less want to run straight at him and leverage our evade window so that we can gap close and find some opportunities for damage. So he's not enraged. So I could flinch shot him, but unfortunately I don't have... Unfortunately don't have slinger ammo to do that with. And now he enraged from damage. I am running 1 point of latent power, which just incidentally comes on the Yostra set. My first mistake. So again, as I said, when you're low HP, use max potion. If you're relatively healthy, use powders to heal. Missed the foresight there. Sag. So his head's not tenderized, which means our weakness exploit is not triggered. Also means we're not doing max damage, and I've also noticed that my purple sharpness somehow went away. I don't know when that happened. I'm going to use a... That's not a wetfish fin. Well, that's awkward. I have the wrong item loadout on for this quest. Kick W. I guess I'm not going to bother sharpening. If, what you should do here is use a wetfish fin to sharpen. But because I have made a slight error, and I have the wrong item loadout on... And I got ledged. I got ledged! No! Eh. All kinds of silly mistakes just happened all at once. That's kind of funny. I rolled into the ledge, which screwed up my iframe timings for the head slam, and the aerial head slams are a pin. Getting some ISS there, but not doing a ton of damage. I should have foresighted that, actually. I wanted to foresight the fireball there. I think I can finish this and heal. Max potions, H potions, heal. He's not enraged, so I can flash him, but instead I'm going to look for an opportunity to flinch on him. Whip! This is a very good Helmbreaker opening. Somehow I ended up not hitting his head. We're making all kinds of silly mistakes here. It's okay. I want to Helmbreaker him. Although I don't have regen augment. This is a bad idea. Oh! Easy! What a finish. Okay. Bit of a silly mistake here, but okay. Sure, we'll take it. Saved by the bell. So yeah, that's an imperfect longsword versus Alatreon hunt. With some... less than optimal gear. Hopefully that helps people out. You hate Bayo, but you really love Vitality Mantle. Should you go fight it? Yes, you should. Yes, you should.